Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's live. Well, today's Thursday, so we passed hump day. Hope everybody's doing well. Okay, what's the subject for the live today? Well, we're going to be talking about L-1 visas. That's an intercompany transferee, and the amount of the investment. Okay, because I get questions all the time for people who I let them know that they can do an L1. And the next question they always ask is, well, how much? Okay, I mean, obviously, how much is attorney's fees, but how much is the amount of the investment? So that's the subject for today. And then, as anyone who's been watching me knows, I'll go back, I'll look at the questions, and then I will answer as many as I can, assuming there's enough. And once done, that'll be it for today, because I have to head to give consults. So as an aside, I received an email from YouTube this morning, and they said, "Hello, Brian D. Lerner. Congratulations. You have your YouTube videos have almost reached views of 10 million. And I said to myself, wow, that's a lot. 10 million. Now, I don't know if that means 10 million people, because I know a lot of people who follow me. They'll, of course, watch more than one video, which I'm answering my own question. Obviously, it's not 10 million people, because if, you're one person that's watched 10 videos, well, But anyways, check out my YouTube channel, because as soon as I get over the 10 million mark, I assume they're going to let me know. All right. Well, anyways, let's go to it. Let's get to it. All right. So, the L1 is the intercompany transferee visa, okay? And unlike the EB-5, which requires over $1 million, of course, that's for the green card, and unlike the E2, which is a treaty investor visa, which that requires around 100,000. The L1 does not have any such requirement, okay? And in fact, the L1 in many respects is nice because you don't have to have a treaty with the U.S. to do it, okay? I mean, this isn't the particular video for this, but with the L1, you can have a company that's outside the U.S., whatever country, and then you open up a branch office here. Now, the amount of the funds has to be reasonable based on whatever it is that you're doing, okay? Now, that's a kind of wishy-washy gray area, all right? But that's how immigration law is. And so, one has to make the argument that the amount of money that's invested is sufficient. Now, I can tell you that I've done plenty of L1s where they've invested only $10,000, $15,000 and have gotten that through. But then I've also done L1s where they've had to invest $50,000 to $100,000. So it really depends. Let me give you a couple examples. Let's say that you are an engineer and you consult, okay? Let's say you're a mechanical engineer and you work on HVAC systems. I'm just giving an example. And let's say you have a company in Dubai that does all this, okay? And you want to do similar things in the U.S. So you open up a branch office in the U.S., does the same type of HVAC engineering consulting type stuff. What do you need to invest? Well, assuming all other qualifications are met, there's not a whole lot that you have to invest to show that you're making, the sufficient amount in order to qualify here. Because think about it. When you're an engineering consultant for HVAC, what do you need to do to get your business to run? Because most of what you do is in your head. You go to the companies, you do the analysis of whatever it is they need, you let them know what needs to be done, and you get paid, okay? You don't need to have a lot of equipment. You don't need to have a lot of space in your office. You can have a very small office. You don't even need to have hardly any employees, okay? So in this particular case, having $10,000 or $15,000, of which even half of that might be just showing, in a bank account showing that the company is capitalized, would be sufficient for an L-1. Now let's use another example. Let's say that you're in Pakistan and you have a nice Pakistani restaurant and you want to open up a Pakistani restaurant in the US, a branch office or a branch corporation that sells Pakistani food in the middle of whatever city it is you want to move to. Well, 10 or 15,000 is not going to cut it in that respect. I mean, just think about it. To open up a restaurant, you need to have a large space that you're going to rent. You need to, if it's not already, you need to convert it so it's able to act as a restaurant. So you just meet all the codes. You need to have the equipment. You need to have all the stuff in the kitchen. You need to have all the stuff in the lobby and the stuff where people are going to eat, all the stools and couches and things like that. You need to have the food. You need to have the personnel. You need to have the chefs, all that stuff. So for, again, an example of a Pakistani restaurant coming to the U.S., you're looking more at $100,000 to $200,000 to successfully and realistically do the L-1. So you can see my two examples. They're quite extreme insofar as the requirements of the L-1, and that one requires very little investment and the other requires a significant, okay? And that's the reality. So if you're going to come over on the L-1, you need to take that into account. You're not going to invest $10,000 or $15,000 and claim that you've successfully opened up a Pakistani restaurant in Los Angeles, okay? I mean, that's just not realistic. Given that I said that, they don't always have to be the same. For example, let's say, if I combine the two examples I've given here, let's say that you are an engineer and you have a Pakistani restaurant and you want to open up an office in the U.S. that does engineering consultancy while your Pakistani restaurant continues to run in Pakistan. You can do that. Okay, I mean, the ownership requirements and some other issues are, there, but theoretically you could do that. So you could have the Pakistani restaurant running in Pakistan and have an engineering consultant firm running here. So 10 or 15,000, give or take, is just peachy fine in that respect. Does all that make sense? Okay, so given that, that's the lowdown on the investments and the requirements for the L-1. So if the amount of the investment is a big issue for you, which many times it is, and you have your own company, the L-1's better than the E-2. And then, of course, the EB-5, again, is the green card. And that takes forever to get. And then there's all kinds of other issues with that. Generally, with EB-5s, if people can do EB-5s, they can do other things like EB-1C and so forth. But hopefully that makes sense as far as the investment and the amount. Okay? All right. Let's scroll back to the beginning and see what we have here. It's Thursday, end of the week. It's not really the end of the week, but sometimes when it gets to the end of the week, I have less questions because people just want to relax, and just watch, which is fine. Okay. What do we got? All right. So, okay, I'm pinning my goal here. I know it's a relatively short live so far, and I've pinned my goal, which is to get 20 roses. Now, let me tell you what. For those who want consultations, just let me know, okay? But how about you give me some roses in exchange, yeah? Okay, here we go. Let's see what we got. A lot of people joined, but not a lot of questions yet. Just a minute. Let's see. Okay, I'm scrolling down now. Just a second. Hey, U.S. Citizen Journey Life, you got the #1 gifter badge. Okay. Just a minute. Well, I keep scrolling. Not a lot of questions today, so far. Sometimes I get a lot at the bottom. Okay, just a second. Be patient with me. As they would say in Star Wars, be patient, Padawan. Okay, 1 second. Hortensia got the number 2 gifter badge. Hey, if anybody wants a consult live, just tell me that's what you want. Not just you want to join as live as a guest, because then I don't know if you really want a consult if you do that. Just a minute. Oh, I just passed someone who had a question. I was just about to read it, and then it scrolled way to the bottom. So now I have to scroll up again to find the question. For gosh sakes. Hey, Brian. Okay, here we go. This is from U.S. Citizen Journey Life. Hey, Brian. Did you know your videos from 11 years ago helped me acquire my citizenship? Cool! Glad to hear that. Hey, you want to know an interesting fact? U.S. Citizen Journey Life? I mean, I appreciate that. Oh, by the way, I think I told you at the beginning. I mean, I'm glad that 11 years ago I helped you do that. But I had a client that called. It's so funny. She called me up earlier this week and she said, "Hello. I don't know if you remember, but you helped my dad and myself immigrate 26 years ago." She was a baby at the time. And now I'm getting married. And now I want to see if you can help my husband get his status. I'm not sure if you remember who we are. I say, you know what? I don't remember a lot of times clients that I opened up 2 months ago, let alone 26 years ago. But I'm happy that I helped your family. So I thought it was interesting. You know, I helped bring someone in, 26 years ago. And now the baby becomes the client who wants, the husband. Hey, U.S. Citizen Journey Life. Oh, thanks for the roses. You want to know an interesting fact about derivative citizenship? About me? I found, this is interesting, that my father, okay, this is a little personal thing. My father, who I've not seen since I was 6 years old, he was born in Montreal, Canada. And I found out doing research, because I'm an immigration lawyer. I know about derivative citizenship in the U.S. So I said, hey, I wonder if I qualify for derivative citizenship in Canada. I mean, wouldn't that be neat to get citizenship of 2 different countries? And sure enough, after I did my research, I found out that I likely qualify, because I was born in before 1977. My dad was born in Montreal, and then minus some other things, that I qualify. Even though he left when I was 6, I've never seen him, never had any communication with him. All I had to do is get his birth certificate, which I sent the information up to Quebec, because that's, the province of Quebec. You want to know an interesting fact about Canada? The city and the province are both named Quebec, where Montreal is. Isn't that weird? So anyways, I sent up the stuff to get his birth certificate. And then once I get it, I can make the necessary application to get derivative citizenship. So I bring this up because I thought it was interesting that me, an expert immigration attorney on U.S. immigration law, I'm now using my knowledge and being on the receiving end of attempting now to get derivative citizenship in Canada for me. I mean, I'm almost 60, and theoretically, I could have done it, when I was 20. But, you live and learn. All right. Well, congratulations anyways. I'm glad that I'm glad my video helped you. Okay. Oh, and thanks for the roses. But we got 18 more to go. Okay, let's see. Let's see, what else do we have? All right. Well, I think... Thanks. You say yes, Canada. Yay. Ken, how's business after Trump? Well, I mean, I'm clearly very busy. My office is very busy. But I'll tell you what. I would prefer I'm being honest with you. I would prefer to be less busy and no Trump than to have to deal with all the stuff he's doing and be more busy. Okay, that's the fact. But given that I said that, oh, thank you. But given that I said that, you can already see the fighting and the courts are digging in and making their inways into everything he's trying to do. So, I mean, this was crystal clear to me, that the moment he got into office again, he was going to not just push the envelope. He doesn't just, push the limits of what may or may not be legal. I mean, he just jumps over the line and does whatever. And then the courts start pulling him back. And that's what's happened. Even, for example, where he claimed that was the 1783, Enemy Aliens Act essentially allows the U.S. government to basically just pull people off the streets and deport them without due process. And then went all the way up to the Supreme Court. And they didn't exactly say no to that, but they said that, because the person was in Texas, it was a habeas corpus and they should have done it there. And, they said that the people have to have their day in court. And then since the Supreme Court issued that decision just very recently, there's already been 2 district court decisions that have put injunctions on the Enemy Aliens Act, essentially saying, you can't just rip people from the U.S. and deport them because you're pretending that they fall under some Enemy Alien Act, and you're doing this without any evidence, without anything, and not giving them their day in court. So, to answer your question, Ken, it's not really a question. Well, it is a question. Sorry. To answer it, I am pleased that the courts are fighting in against what he's doing. I mean, I knew it would happen. And even though he might claim there's a win here and a win there, even at the Supreme Court, when it came back down, they still put a stop to it, even with the Supreme Court decision. So you see, it's only been, 4 months? And already the ball of trying to change everything has slowed considerably. Trying to deport everybody under the sun and change everything has slowed considerably, which is nice about the democracy, in that we fight, we do the courts, we keep going, and no matter how much stuff he throws at the wall to and hope some of it sticks, that the immigration attorneys, the immigration organizations will continue to fight, and will do it until the day he's out of office. Okay, won't give up. Okay? Does that answer your question? All right. Okay, let me see. Let's see. Oh, thanks you, thanks you, citizen. You're giving me my roses. Just a minute. We got it. Yeah. we made it. Thank you very much. Okay. I think we're about approaching. Hey, do you guys hear the live live goal achieved and everybody clapping, or is that just on my end? All right. I think we've about reached the end. All right, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, well, that's it for the live today. I do have to head off and give my consults. So hope everybody enjoyed, and we'll be back for the next one. Everybody have a